You're watching Public Access Channel 83, WJJA-TV. Later tonight, another episode of Myron's Maker Shop and Movie Talk. And at 12, a new product from the Just Joshing Around Home Goods. But coming up next, a brand new episode of Rustic Renderings.
Oh, hey there. Welcome back to Rustic Renderings. I'm your pal RJ. Boy, oh boy, it's hard to believe, but it's once again my favorite time of year. Fall has fallen. The leaves are changing. There's a nice, cool, crisp breeze, which means cozy sweater weather. Plus the added bonus that every time you do some work outside, you don't got to worry about sweat pouring out and running down your crack. Probably should have left that last part out. Anywho, one of the best things about fall, besides the pumpkin carving, the trick-or-treating, and the sudden onslaught of society's obsession with making everything into pumpkin spice, I mean, for the love of God, do we really need to have pumpkin spice scented trash bags? Or how about non-alcoholic pumpkin spice beer for dogs? I don't know about you, but I just can't wait to get my hands on some pumpkin spice toothpaste, or maybe I'll give myself a nice soothing pumpkin spice latte enema. Nature. Anyway, let's get back on track here. Besides all that, one of the best things about fall is all the decorations. And that's what we're going to focus on today. I'm going to break down some crusty, dingy old pallets and make some nice wooden pumpkins. We've got a lot to do, so let's hop to it.
The first step in making our little pallet pumpkins is to disassemble the pallets. The easiest way I found to do this is using a Sawzall. You make one long continuous cut on one side, go to the other side, and then flip it over and do it again. With both sides removed, now we can focus on removing the boards from the center rail. To do that, we're going to place two vertical blocks as risers, slip in one as a spanner, then use a big old mallet to beat it like it just stole your lunch money. Now, most of these boards will just slip right out of place, but occasionally you'll get one that'll break, just like the nose on that little jerk you used to steal your lunch money. With that done, next we'll go ahead and remove all the nails. Since the boards are thin, the nails pop out nice and easy. Now, for those side rails. Even though we're not going to use them for this project, I still like to pull those nails out so the boards are ready for a rainy day. Plus, as a bonus, you got a nice big assortment of bent, rusty nails to either throw in your scrap bucket, get prepped for the oncoming zombie apocalypse, or use them for a little something I like to call spicer hunting.
Now, you're probably wondering, RJ, just what in the Sam Hill is spicer hunting? Well, I'll tell you. Say you find yourself down at your local shopping center. Well, mosey your way on over to find whatever's the newest, most ridiculous seasonal product that's been introduced for mindless consumption. In this case, let's just say it's, I don't know, pumpkin spice related. Like toilet paper or caviar for some reason. Well, what you do is you post up somewhere nearby, somewhat disguised, but with a nice clear line of sight, and you wait. It won't be long until some moron comes by and notices said product, and a look of pure delight spreads across their otherwise simple, stupid face. And we have a winner. Now, you just follow them out of the store and back to their house. And here's the fun part. You take a nice big handful of those bent, rusty nails, and you sprinkle them all through their driveway. Or you could just flick a dog turd into their mailbox. The choice is yours, really. And you feel no guilt about it because they deserve it for being part of the problem.
Next up, we're going to do a bit of planing. Now this is what's going to make our new pallet pumpkins a little more refined. We're just going to do one nice light pass on one side, and on the other side, we're going to make it super smooth. Smooth, just like the getaway from your latest adventure of spicer hunting. Anyway, next, we're going to do some sanding. We're going to go ahead and use the orbital sander on the smooth side for a nice, fine finish. And for the other side, we're going to use the belt sander for a little rougher finish. With the boards all sanded down to their correct smoothness or roughness, we'll go ahead and move on to some saw. We'll go ahead and get our old table saw all set up here. Then we'll run both edges of each board through the saw to make them straight and parallel. With that done, we'll go ahead and use our crosscut sled to cut each board down in size and remove the screw holes.
Now you might wonder, RJ, why didn't you just cut the boards around the center rail at the beginning? Well, when planing the boards, sometimes you end up with what's called snipe. And that's just a little bit extra material on the ends of the boards that the knives take off, leaves a little groove. So then you're gonna have to remove that anyways. And you just get better results running longer boards through the planer. Plus, it's my show, so get off my back.
Anyway, now it's time to do one of the most important parts, outlining. For this project, we're going to do some outlining to make some templates out of plywood that I got from, you guessed it, pallets. No matter what project you're working on, everyone knows the importance of having a good outline. Whether you're making some decorations for fall and the upcoming spooky season, or maybe you're looking to make a spooky movie that'll turn the whole horror genre on its head. Just like one of my favorite spooky movies, The Cabin in the Woods. If you've never seen it, and why haven't you? I mean, it's been out for 12 years now. What are you doing with your life? The Cabin in the Woods is a horror comedy that takes the normal tropes of horror and the setting of a creepy cabin in the woods and quite literally flips the script on everything. You go into it thinking you're about to watch some scary stuff happen to some stupid teenagers at a creepy cabin. Then the rug gets yanked out from under you. Next thing you know, you cracked your head on the floor and there's change missing from the dresser. I've seen it 100 times. Anyway, you see that there's a whole lot more going on in the movie. It's creepy, it's scary, it's thought-provoking, and it's really funny. But none of it would be possible without the use of a good outline. Now, we all know what happens when you try to make something like a project or a movie without using a good outline. You end up with something like this, or you end up making a big collective cinematic turd like the Star Wars sequel trilogy, or Ghosts of Mars. Now, if I decided to make these pumpkins without an outline or templates, I'd end up with a couple of deformed big old hunks of crap, and we don't want that. Anyway, next up, it's time to start assembling. Now, to assemble these pumpkins, we're going to be doing a bit more outlining, some gluing, clamping, drilling, and screwing. Driving in screws. Once we determine which template to use with each set, we trace the outline of the template onto it, then flip the boards over, apply some glue to the edges, glue on a cross member, clamp them down, pre-drill some holes, and drive in some screws. Then we repeat that process with a second cross member. For the next part, we're going to go ahead and cut out these pumpkins using our templates and a router. Now, since I couldn't find a good picture or clip to use for my routering, instead, here's a picture of a pumpkin spice latte engagement ring. Let that sink in for a second. This is like a $10,000 piece of jewelry. And even though it's made by some company called Angelic Diamonds, I'm pretty sure it came straight from hell. Anyway, back to our pumpkins. Like I said, we're going to use our template and a router to cut them out. To do that, we place the panel rear side down on the template, clamp them together, and we use the router with a flush trim bit to cut it out. The bit has a bearing that glides along the edge of the template for the cut, and you're left with a pumpkin the exact same shape as the template. Next, we'll use a roundover bit to round off the edges. This part isn't exactly necessary, but I think it makes a nicer finished product. With that done, we'll move on to doing a quick sanding with the orbital sander. It's also a nice idea to apply a bit of glue to any cracks, seams, or holes. And once again, lightly run the sander over these affected areas. The fine sawdust will mix in with the glue and fill in these spots. Now, the next part is optional, but I wanted to make a nice little sign to hang on the pumpkin. So, I took a small pallet board, cut it down on a table saw, rounded over all the edges, and drilled some holes in 2 corners for some twine. With all that done, it's time we move on to do some staining, some painting, and some finishing. Now, since I'm going to be doing a natural finish on the pumpkins, I chose a dark walnut stain for a nice contrast on the sign. After allowing ample time to dry, we're going to tape on a stencil. And we're going to add a few pins to make sure that no overspray gets in our lettering. Because nobody wants that. It's going to look like a sloppy old piece of crap. Next, we spray on a nice solid coat of flat white paint. Allow it to dry, and then remove the stencil. There. Doesn't that look nice? Once that part's done, we're going to crack open a can of finish. In this case, I used a polyurethane. This will protect the wood for outdoor use. But of course, you can use whatever type of finish you want to. However, for this urethane, we're going to add a little bit of mineral spirits to thin it out. And this will allow easier application. Now we just wipe on our finish using a clean rag. We allow it to penetrate the wood for a while, wipe away the excess, and allow everything to dry. Then we can repeat the process to add 1 or 2 more coats as necessary. The final step is completely optional. We're going to do a bit of branding. For this, we just fire up the old propane torch. Eventually. Seriously, why don't I get like an ignition trigger or something? Oh geez, look at that, finally! Now we'll just go ahead and heat up our little branding iron here. And then we'll add a nice little personal touch. And with that, our palette pumpkins are all done. Boy oh boy, I just love how these fellas turned out. I think the little sign is a nice touch, but even without, these pumpkins are festive and fun. And as a nice little bonus, you can make the sign reversible for some extra spooky fun.
Boy howdy, it sure is fun making some new palette decorations. It's hard to believe, but it's been over 3 years since your old pal RJ made anything. But it's good to be back. And speaking of getting back, I probably better do that soon. It's darn near nightfall and I have no idea where I am. Anywho, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Maybe. It's over this way, maybe? I'm not sure. How the heck did I get in here anyways? Whoops. Nope. It's this way. Oh, no, I was right. It was back this way. Send help.